Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all in another online talk being organized by the Centre for Diaspora Studies, Punjabi University, Patiala. Today, we have with us Inni ji. Inni ji is Creative Director at the Sikh Research Institute, USA. The topic of her talk today is Heartache, Resolution, and My Journey with Bhai Vir Singh's Rana Surat Singh. And in Punjabi it is Darde Dil, Sakoon ਅਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਰਚਨਾ ਰਾਣਾ ਸੂਰਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. We feel honored to have with us Dr. Mahinder Singh ji. He was Professor of Eminence in the Department of Punjab Historical Studies, Punjabi University, Patiala, and is currently Director, National Institute of Punjab Studies and Bhai Vir Singh Sahitya Sadan, New Delhi. I welcome Inni ji and Dr. Mahinder Singh ji. I also welcome Professor Arvind, Vice Chancellor, Punjabi University, Patiala, and Professor Gurmukh Singh, Director, Centre for Diaspora Studies, Punjabi University, and all those who have joined us via our YouTube channel. We dedicate this talk to 150th birth anniversary of Bhai Vir Singh ji. Now I would like to invite Professor Gurmukh to formally introduce the speaker and welcome the guests. Professor Gurmukh.
Shukriya, Dr. Tanjit, बहुत ही सत्कारयोग Professor Arvind, वाइस चांसलर पंजाबी यूनिवर्सिटी पटियाला, डॉक्टर मਹਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ जी, ਇੰਨੀ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ। ਅੱਜ ਬਹੁਤ ਖਾਸ ਮੌਕਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਬੋਲੇ ਜਾਣ ਉਹਨੇ ਥੋੜੇ ਨੇ। ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸੰਸਾਰ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਾਹਿਤਕ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਰਿਣੀ ਆ। ਜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਲਿਖਤ ਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਾਹਿਤਕ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਵੱਧ ਨਾ ਸਕਦਾ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਰਚਨਾਵਾਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਲਿਖਤਾਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅਹਿਸਾਸ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਵਰਤਮਾਨ ਤੱਕ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਨਵਿਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਨਵੇਂ ਔਥਰ ਦੇ ਲੇਖਕ ਦੇ ਹਵਾਲੇ ਨਾਲ, ਨਵੇਂ ਵਕਤਾ ਦੇ ਹਵਾਲੇ ਨਾਲ ਯਾਦ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਇੱਕ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਅੰਦਾਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਯਾਦ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਟਾਕ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕੁਝ ਨਵੀਆਂ ਅੰਤਰਦ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਟੀਆਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਊਗੀ। ਇੰਨੀ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਕੁਝ ਸਮਾਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਮਹਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਸੈਮੀਨਾਰ ਕਰਵਾਇਆ ਸੀ, ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਤੇ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਕਰਵਾਈ ਸੀ, ਉੱਥੇ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਸੀ। ਤਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਖਰਾ ਅਨੁਭਵ ਇਹ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਕੈਡੈਮਿਕਸ ਜਾਂ ਅਕਾਦਮਿਕ ਜਗਤ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਇੰਨੀ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਣ ਦੀ। ਵੱਖਰੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਅਹਿਸਾਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਦਿਆਂ ਹੋਇਆਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕੀਤੇ। ਜਾਣੀ ਕੋਈ ਪਾਠਕ ਜਦੋਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਅਹਿਸਾਸਾਂ ਤੋਂ, ਭਾਵਨਾਵਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਲੇਖਕ ਨੂੰ ਅਪਰੋਚ ਕਰਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਕੀ ਰੂਪਾਂਤਰਣ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਵਾਰ ਇਹ ਇੰਨੀ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦਿਆਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ 2 ਦਿਨ ਰਹਿੰਦਿਆਂ, ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰਦਿਆਂ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕੀਤਾ। ਉਦੋਂ ਹੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਮਨ 'ਚ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ, ਮੈਂ ਧਰਮਜੀਤ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੰਨੀ ਕੌਰ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਲੇਖਕ ਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਇਹ ਤਰੀਕਾ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੀ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਧਰਮਜੀਤ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਇੰਨੀ ਕੌਰ ਇਸ ਵਕਤ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਿਵ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਰ ਨੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਰਿਸਰਚ ਇੰਸਟੀਚਿਊਟ ਦੇ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹ ਇਸੇ ਇੰਸਟੀਚਿਊਟ ਦੇ CEO ਵੀ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਥਾਵਾਂ ਤੇ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਂ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਭਾਸ਼ਣ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਲਿਖੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਰਾਈਟਿੰਗ ਬਹੁਤ ਔਖੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਈ ਵਾਰ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੌਖਾ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ, ਪਰ ਅਸਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਔਖਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਾਨਸਿਕਤਾ ਦਾ ਪੱਧਰ ਕੀ ਹੋਊਗਾ, ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਕੇ ਲਿਖੀਏ। ਤਾਂ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਡਾਇਸਪੋਰਿਕ ਸਪੇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਨੂੰ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਉਣ ਦਾ, ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਵਿਰਸਾ, ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦਾ ਵਿਰਸਾ, ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ, ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਬਹੁਤ ਇਹ ਲਿਖਦੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ਿੱਦਤ ਨਾਲ ਲਿਖਦੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਕਾਫੀ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਆ ਚੁੱਕੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਇੰਨੀ ਕੌਰ ਕੁਵੈਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਨਮੇ। ਇੰਟਰਸਟਿੰਗ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਆ, ਫਿਰ ਨਿਊਜ਼ੀਲੈਂਡ ਰਹੇ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ, ਫਿਰ ਗ੍ਰੀਸ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨੇ। ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਇਹ ਯਾਤਰਾ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੌਚਕ ਆ। ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਅਧਿਆਤਮਿਕ ਯਾਤਰਾ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਨਾਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਲਿਖਤਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਉਹ ਅੱਗੇ ਵੱਧਦੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਉਹ ਆਪ ਦੱਸਣਗੇ। ਤੇ ਜਿਸ ਇੰਸਟੀਚਿਊਟ ਨਾਲ ਉਹ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਖਾਸ ਆ। ਮੈਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚਦਾ ਹਾਂ, ਮੇਰੇ ਮਨ 'ਚ ਖਿਆਲ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਰਿਸਰਚ ਇੰਸਟੀਚਿਊਟ ਆ, ਇਹ ਕੇਵਲ ਇੱਕ ਅਕੈਡੈਮਿਕ ਇੰਸਟੀਚਿਊਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਫੇਥ, ਲਵ ਤੇ ਅਕਾਦਮਿਕਤਾ ਦਾ ਸੰਜੋਗ ਆ। ਤੇ ਇਹ ਆਪਦੇ ਆਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਚੰਗੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ। ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਇੰਨੀ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ ਦਾ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਸੱਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ। ਮੈਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਮਹਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ ਅਦਾ ਕਰਦਾ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਹਿਤ ਸਦਨ ਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਾਰਜਭਾਰ ਸੰਭਾਲਿਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਨਵੀਂ ਰੂਹ ਭਰੀ ਆ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਨੂੰ ਕੇਵਲ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਤੱਕ ਸੀਮਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ। ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਵਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਸੈਮੀਨਾਰ, ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸਿਸ, ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਛਾਪੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਖਾਸ ਗੱਲ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਚਿੰਤਨ ਦਾ ਕੇਂਦਰ ਬਣਾਤਾ। ਹਰ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਰੁਕ ਰੁਕ ਕੇ ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਤੇ ਚਰਚਾ ਕਰਵਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ, ਬਹੁਤ ਅਹਿਮ ਮੁੱਦਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਚਰਚਾ ਕਰਵਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਤਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਹਿਤ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਚਿੰਤਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਥਾਂ ਬਣਾ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ। ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ੁਕਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ। ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਈਸ ਚਾਂਸਲਰ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੱਲਾਸ਼ੇਰੀ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਨਾਲ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਕਾਦਮਿਕ ਕੰਮ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਚੰਗਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਦੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਨੇ। ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੁਣੋਗੇ ਤੇ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਨੇ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਇਨਸਾਈਟਸ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਏ ਨੇ। ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ। ਖੁਸ਼ ਆਮਦੀਦ।
Thank you, Professor Gurmukh. I would now request Professor Arvind to give his introductory remarks. Professor Arvind.
ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇੰਨੀ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਤੇ ਮਹਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦਾ। ਮਹਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਬੜੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਮਿਲਿਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮੇਰੀ ਜਾਣ ਪਛਾਣ ਹੈ। ਇੰਨੀ ਕੌਰ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਣ ਪਛਾਣ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਮੀਨਾਰ ਦੇ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਸ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹੈ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਰਹੇਗਾ। ਕੁਝ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਂਝੀਆਂ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ। ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਸੈਮੀਨਾਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਚੱਲੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਣ ਵੀ। ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚਦਿਆਂ, ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਲਈ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਜੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਤੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਭਾਸ਼ਾ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਛੱਡਣ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਹੈ ਅਪਣਾਉਣ ਨਾਲੋਂ। ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਬਾਬਾ ਫਰੀਦ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਨੂੰ ਅਪਣਾਇਆ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਆਪਣਾ ਕਲਾਮ ਕਹਿਣ ਦੀ ਹਿੰਮਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ। ਪਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਸਾਰੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਲਿਖੀ, ਤੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਕੋਈ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੇਖਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਜਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਵੀ ਜਾਂ ਅਧਿਆਤਮਿਕ ਲੋਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ। ਇਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਿਤੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਫਰੀਦ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਕੰਮ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹ ਉਸ ਰੂਪ 'ਚ ਅੱਗੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਵਧਿਆ, ਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਫਿਰ ਉਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੀ ਪਹਿਲ ਕਦਮੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਈ। ਤੇ ਜੇ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚੀਏ ਤੇ 20ਵੀਂ ਸਦੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਜੀ ਪਹਿਲ ਕਦਮੀ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਪਈ ਕਿ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਨੂੰ ਅਪਣਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਸਾਹਿਤ ਰਚਨ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਫਿਰ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਧੇ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਨਾ ਲਿਖੋ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਭਾਸ਼ਾਵਾਂ 'ਚ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰੋ। ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਨੂੰ ਅਪਣਾਇਆ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਨਵੀਂ ਲੀਹ ਤੇ ਪਾਇਆ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਤੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਫਰੀਦ ਜੀ। ਪਹਿਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਉਂਦੀ। ਦੂਸਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਿਨਫਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਸਾਹਿਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਰਚਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਨਵੇਂ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੀਆਂ 20ਵੀਂ ਸਦੀ ਦੀਆਂ ਸਿਨਫਾਂ ਸੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਸਿਨਫਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਅਪਣਾਇਆ ਤੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਸਾਹਿਤ ਰਚਨ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇੱਕ ਨਵਾਂ ਕੰਮ ਸੀ, ਇੱਕ ਨਵੀਂ ਪ੍ਰਕਿਰਿਆ ਸੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤੀ। ਇਸੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਾਰ 6ਵੇਂ ਦਰਿਆ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦਾ, ਤੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਤੀਸਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ 150 ਸਾਲ ਬਾਅਦ 21ਵੀਂ ਸਦੀ 'ਚ ਕਰਨੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮਹਾਨ ਕੰਮ ਉਸ ਮਨੁੱਖ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਉਹਦੀ ਵਿਚਾਰਧਾਰਾ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਿਚਾਰਧਾਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੇਲ ਖਾਂਦੀ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਨੂੰ ਮੰਨਣ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਕੰਮ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਦਵਾਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਵਿਦਵਤਾ ਦੀਆਂ ਪਰੰਪਰਾਵਾਂ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਸੋਚਣ ਦੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਫਲਸਫੇ ਨਾਲ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਅਧਿਆਤਮ ਵੱਲ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵੱਲ, ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵੱਲ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਮੇਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਖਾਂਦੀਆਂ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਨੂੰ ਉਨੀ ਇੱਜ਼ਤ ਨਾਲ ਵੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਲੋਕ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਸੇ ਪਰੰਪਰਾ 'ਚ। ਸੋ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਡੇ ਅਕਾਦਮਿਕ ਕੰਮ ਦੀ ਇਹੋ ਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਖਾਸ ਗੱਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਹਿਮਤ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਉਹਦਾ ਮਿਆਰ ਹੈ, ਜੋ ਉਹਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮੰਨ ਕੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਾਉਂਦੇ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਤਿੰਨ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਰੱਖਣੀਆਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਸਾਂ ਸੈਮੀਨਾਰ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੋਂ। ਤੇ ਦੋ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਨੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਇੱਕ ਉਪਰਾਲਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੀਆਂ 9400 ਕਵਿਤਾਵਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਅੱਖਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਛਾਪ ਰਹੇ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਿਤਾਬ ਬੜੀ ਛੇਤੀ ਰਿਲੀਜ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਏਗੀ, ਛਪ ਜਾਏਗੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲਿਪਿਆਂਤਰ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕਾ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਘੇ ਤੋਂ ਪਾਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਹੈ, 13 ਕਰੋੜ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹ 'ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਡਾਇਸਪੋਰਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਨਾਲ ਫਾਰਸੀ ਅੱਖਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਜੁੜਦੇ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਸਕਣ। ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਕਾਦਮਿਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵੀ ਫਰਵਰੀ ਦੇ ਮਹੀਨੇ 'ਚ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਰਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਬੜੀ ਅੱਛੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਵੇਖ ਕੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਦੇਹਰਾਦੂਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਲਬੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਾਹਿਤ ਕੇਂਦਰ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੀਆਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਲਿਖਤਾਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਚਿੱਠੀਆਂ, ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰਾ ਵਡਮੁੱਲਾ ਖਜ਼ਾਨਾ ਪਿਆ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਡਿਜੀਟਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਵਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰਕਿਰਿਆ ਵੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸਭ ਢੰਗਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਭਾਈ ਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ 150 ਸਾਲ ਨੂੰ ਮਨਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਔਰ ਮਾਣ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਔਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਕਿ ਡਾਇਸਪੋਰਾ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਅੱਜ ਦੋ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਵਿਦਵਾਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾ ਕੇ ਇਸ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਲੈਕਚਰ ਕਰਵਾਏ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਜੇ ਨਾ ਵੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੈਕਚਰ ਸੁਣ ਸਕਾਂਗਾ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਰਿਕਾਰਡਡ ਵਰਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਬਾਅਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਲੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਵੇਖ ਲਵਾਂਗਾ। ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਮੈਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਜੁੜਿਆ ਨਾ ਰਹਿ ਸਕਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਟਰੈਵਲ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬੜੀ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਅੱਛਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਫੋਰਮ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਕੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗਤੀਵਿਧੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੱਡੇ ਇੱਕ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਤੇ ਲਿਆ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਹਿੱਸਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜਦਾ ਹੈ। ਨਵੇਂ ਸਾਲ 'ਚ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸਰ ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਤੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਧਰਮਜੀਤ ਦਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹਾਂਗਾ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅੱਗੇ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਿਣ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਸਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀਤੇ। ਸੋ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਸਪੀਕਰਸ ਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਔਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਸ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਸੈਮੀਨਾਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਰਹੇਗਾ। ਧੰਨਵਾਦ।
Thank you, Professor Arvind. I would now request Inni Kaurji to begin her talk. Inni Kaurji.
Hanji, Guru Fateh, and good evening to all of you. Thank you, Professor Arvind Ji. You mentioned so many things in your talk that took me back. You mentioned the Dehradun property. That was a property that belonged to my dear aunt. And I remember the time when she said, I have given it to the Punjabi University in Patiala. And I asked her why, because it's a very expensive piece of property. The property is expensive, but what is inside that property is priceless. And she said, it was not mine. I was just holding it. I was a custodian. So now the property it belongs to the Punjabi University. Are you the custodians of this incredible treasure that is within it? I ask you that. And you've mentioned that you're going to digitize everything in there, and we are grateful for that. But bring it to the world. There is, besides the literature that is in there, there is something far deeper and greater when your professors, when your researchers go there and work there, live there day in and day out, the feeling that they will get will be very different. They will be closer to that essence that was coming through Professor Puran Singh and Bhai Vir Singh, because those two literary giants spent a lot of time there. So thank you, Professor Arvind, for talking about that property. And it meant a lot to me for you to acknowledge that and share that with the world. Dr. Mahendra Singh and I go back a long way. We are, as he said, friends. We also disagree, but this is a friendly disagreement. He and I share a love, and he has made me feel very welcome at the Southern, at the Bhai Vir Singh Southern. It is my second home. I just walk in and I am at home. There has never been a moment when I have felt that I don't belong there. And for a person who's grown up outside India, that feeling of being home and finding a place is a rare thing. So, Dr. Saab, I want to acknowledge that. Thank you. Professor Gurmukh Singh, to meet you at the seminar was pure joy. You listened, you heard, and you asked. You asked me those questions which rare people ask. You asked me, how did this happen? And you were interested in the perspective of a lover. And for that, I am grateful. And that is why I'm here. Because of you, because you were so interested. Dr. Dharamjit Singh, I have listened to the talks that you and Professor Gurmukh Singh have conducted, and I've enjoyed them because I wanted to be able to be comfortable when I came here to know who I was with my peers were. So thank you, all of you, very, very much for this incredible honor to be able to speak on Bhai Vir Singh on his 150th birth anniversary. But I have a confession. I come to you as a lover. I'm a lover of his writings. I'm also a practitioner of Sikhi. And that's important to know, because being a lover and a practitioner of Sikhi, the language, the faith that is of Bhai Vir Singh is important, because that's how my lens is therefore different. I'm sharing with you, maybe because I'm sharing this with you, maybe because you will get a glimpse into why I allowed, and you have to allow this, why I allowed this man to enter my consciousness, this man, Bhai Vir Singh, because I want what he has. And what does he have? He has a deep love for the Guru, and he wears that love on his sleeve. His entire being emits that fragrance for the Guru, and selfishly, I want that. I am actually extremely conscious that I'm speaking at an academic university, at an institution, and I'm speaking to the academics, while I am not an academic. Neither do I profess to be one. All I can hope for is that you get a glimpse of how a lover, a practitioner of Sikhi, reads Bhai Vir Singh's words, feels his words, falls in love with his words, and then rises in that love. That's my journey of falling in love, and then his words have made me rise in love. So the first part of my talk is about how I encountered his writings, my journey from Bhai Vir Singh to Pitaji, as I refer to him now. The second part will focus on how his epic poem, Rana Surat Singh, revealed to me the love path as he writes it. And at the end, I will share with you a couple of anecdotes that were shared with me by people who knew him well. You know, lovers do strange things, because when they fall in love, they want to know everything and anything about the one they love. And they go to great lengths to find that out. It's their quest. And that's what I did. When this man became that important to me, I wanted to reach out to all the people who knew him, who had met him. And I wanted to speak to them, and I did. So this is what the first man who entered my consciousness, Professor Puran Singh, writes about him. And again, I am grateful to the Punjabi University, because this is the university who actually brought Professor Puran Singh's work back to Punjab. He was published in England before, but it's your university that said this man needs to be known in Punjab. This is the man who Bhai Vir Singh touched and brought back into the fold. This man has an incredible journey. I won't go there. But this is the man who brought me, turned my lens into Sikhi, because I said, what, a man in his 30s, a Sikh man, can write with such sensitivity? who is this man? And I began to follow Professor Puran Singh and his writings. And in his writings, I discovered that the man who changed him was Bhai Vir Singh. And therefore, the man that I revered, loved, reveres somebody else much higher. So I wanted to know that. So let me share with you what Professor Puran Singh writes about him, who knew him so well. He writes, "The silent poet makes the rivers cry and set the hills on fire by the touch of his emotion. I wander around his rooms, sit here and there, and stand and do nothing, think nothing, just wonder, admire, take tea with him, or enjoy a morning meal in his company, gaze at him as he eats and talks. And when I come away, I invariably find myself full of divine love." That was Professor Puran Singh's experience. I cannot say that I have taken tea with him or a morning meal, but I'm also filled with divine love when I am immersed in his writings. He was Bhai Vir Singh for many years to me, and as I got immersed in his writings, he spoke to me, and he became Bhai Vir Singh. And at some point, he became Pilaji because I needed his guidance. There were things I could not understand. And I said, I need you to make me understand this. What are you feeling? What is it that you want me to feel? And that's when the conversation with the author began. You want to know, you want to feel. And I got immersed in every word of his writings. His language map is very different. It's Gurbani based. To understand him, you have to know Gurbani, because every word, every thought comes from there. It's the flow. Did I fall in love with his poetry first? When he writes about Jamuna, the river, how she absolutely is an agony after Dasmi Pacha bathes in her. And she goes searching for him. Or did I fall in love with Guru Nanak Chamatkar because he made Pacha, Guru Nanak Sahib, alive for me? Or did I fall in love when his opening chapter of Kalgidhar Chamatkar, when he addresses Sundarta, and he addresses Sundarta and brings Dasme Pacha into the world? I don't know at what point that change came, but all I know is that he is the only author I read. He is my work. I have dedicated my life to translating him for a very selfish reason, because only when you translate, do you get immersed in the author. And that is what I want to do. I want to bring his words, his thought into the English language so that people like me can say, this is beautiful, but now I want to read the original. Because as much, I can tell you, as much as I spend time translating, it is a very, very pale rendering of the original. His work, his writings, the way they move you, mine don't. So I come to his book, Rana Surat Singh. What is Rana Surat Singh? It is 14,217 lines of dense poetry in 35 cantons, brimming, and when I say brimming, overflowing with spiritual insights. This book, this thick book, sat on my desk for many years. And I would look at it every day and I would say, I cannot touch that. I cannot. And sometime, I think in 2019, January 1st, 2019, I remember, I brought the book into my bedroom. And every night I read this book, one page, and every night my pillow was wet, because the magnificence and what I was receiving was incredible. But I also know that I have barely touched this book, because this book requires gyan. And this is not the gyan which one receives from books. This is the gyan that one receives from insight. When tode andar, that turmoil, that, you know, that up and down, that turmoil within you settles. And when you can truly listen to the mysteries, what the elements are talking to you, then you have an inkling, because the entire book is about nature, how all the elements in nature speak. And to be able to hear that and be in tune with nature, Professor Puran Singh writes, the vulgar eye cannot see Bhai Vir Singh, cannot feel him, because the vulgar eye cannot feel the elements. You have to have great sensitivity to read this book. So let's come back to Rana Surat Singh. Who was Rana Surat Singh? And what motivated Pidaji to create the figure Rana Surat Singh? His brother, Dr. Bhai Vir Singh, shares that. He says, and he's written this in Khalsa Samachar. He says, when Bhai Vir Singh was thinking about creating Rana Surat Singh, the Sikh community was widowed. The last Maharaja, Dalip Singh, had breathed his last. The entire Punjabi state was in mourning, consequently steeped in superstition and idol worship. How could the health of the community be restored? What direction to overcome superstition and idol worship? So in 1905, 12 years after Maharaja Dalip Singh's death, tracts of Rana Surat Singh began appearing in Khalsa Samachar. Now, many will look at this as a story of a woman, Rani Raj Kaur, pining for her dead husband, Rana Surat Singh. That would be an injustice. It is much larger than that. Think about it. Maybe this is a story about a widowed Pant. Are we widowed? Let's look at ourselves. Is the Pant widowed? We have no leader. Do we have that? This is also a story of a seeker, a jagyasu, a seeker, a jagyasu in separation, in longing, a seeker who is really searching to experience the ik onkar. What is that? And that's my story, that I have approached this in that light of looking as I am broken, I want to join. And this story is told through the woman's experience, woman's feelings and emotions, very much following the pattern, the style of the feminine voice in the Guru Granth Sahib. So what is Rana Surat Singh to me? It's a story of a selfless love, a love that can transport one from this dunya, this visible world, into another world, the invisible world, which is, in this story, is Sachkhand, the eternal realm, the realm where Rana Surat Singh is, the realm where the Rani wants to be in, the realm where I want to be in, because Pidaji writes, Sachkhand is within you. You can experience Sachkhand here and now. And to do that, there is a way. Can you imagine for a seeker to read that Sachkhand is within me? Sachkhand I can experience here and now. It shatters everything that one knows. And this is what he does. How does a seeker experience a love that transcends time and space? It is mystical, yes, but it's also very real. And it begins with a longing. A khich, jad tak tuanu khich nahi hai na, kuch nahi honda. Oh khich tuanu sara kuch karandi hai. And to enter that realm of love, you have to have that longing. And when you have that longing, the path opens, things happen, things appear. And in Rana Surat Singh, Pidaji writes, what a seeker needs to do is to become a Gurmukh, Guru-oriented. And Guru Nanak Sahib in Siddh Ghosh writes, Gurmukh, Naam, Dan, Ishnan. And the path to become a Gurmukh is laid out in Canto 32. 32 chapter of this poem is actually a jewel, a marvelous, marvelous hidden jewel. It's there. I mean, I say it's hidden, but it's not hidden. It's for everyone to see. But ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਖਿੱਚ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਤਾਂਘ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹੀ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ. Otherwise, people will just glance through it and read it. But for people like, I will say like me, it was like something that had been revealed to me. So for the next 15, 20 minutes, I want to invite you to walk with me on this love path as revealed through the pen of Bhai Vir Singh. This is not my words. These are not my thoughts. Please don't think this is what I'm saying. I don't have that capacity. ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਸੋਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ, ਇਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੋਚ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ. I'm just bringing it in front of you. So if you think ਕਿ ਇਹ ਇਸ ਕੁੜੀ ਨੂੰ ਬੜੀ ਸਮਝ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਇਹ ਪਹੁੰਚੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਗਲਤ ਹੈਗਾ. ਤੁਸੀਂ just take that out of your mind. This is a person who is just sharing what she has received from Rana Surat Singh. A very, very small understanding. ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਛੋਟੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਸੋਚ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਕੁਝ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਪੇਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ. ਅੱਗੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ. He writes, it begins with Ishnan. Now Ishnan to me is what? Bathing. But no, it's much more than that. It's cleansing, it's reflection. It seems quite simple and quite elementary, doesn't it? Keep the body clean by bathing, wear appropriate clothes, eat and sleep adequately, keep the body healthy. Yes, that is body Ishnan, Deda Ishnan. Then he says this Ishnan of the mind. How do we do that? It is when we protect the mind from inferior thoughts and keep the mind low like a pond and not high like the mountaintop. This is keep nivi. You can collect something. This is Manda Ishnan. After Manda Ishnan, he takes it to the next level. Intellect, mat. What is mat? How do you keep your mat clean? It's from unethical thoughts. Make sure your mat is firmly in command over the mind. So the mat is much higher than the mind. Strengthen your intellect, because a weak intellect cannot differentiate whether the thought that is arising in the mind is good or bad. He breaks it down for us. Right? And then he writes a beautiful line. He says, keep your mat under size protection, so it remains elevated. This is the way your intellect, matta ishnan honda hai. Then he takes it to the next level. He says, chit. So he's breaking it down for us for a reason. Chit is consciousness. Now, many thoughts enter our consciousness. What he's telling us is be aware of them. And as soon as they arise, discard them. And protect your consciousness. Why? Because he says, in your consciousness, you want to protect it, so only guna, your virtues, can dominate. Don't fill your consciousness, your surt, with something else. That is surt, Ishnan. And the ultimate cleansing is Atam Ishnan. What is that? And he writes, when you recognize that the body, the mind, that's man, the intellect, mat, the consciousness, chit, are different and separate entities within yourself. It is then you will realize that you are separate from the body. Tusite atma hai gayo. You are distinct. You are not this body. You are distinct from the mind, the intellect, and the consciousness. And when you realize you are not the body, that you are an inseparable part of Paramatma, you are an ansh of that light. This is that realization. I am not the body, but a living spark of the Creator. Man tu jyot sarup hai, apna mool pehchan. Bacha tells us, Guru tells us that. And this is where he's taking us. कि तुसी एक जोत हैगे हो, recognize तुसी की हैगे हो, that you are an अंश, and separate yourself. I want to pause here because I think it was about 12 years ago when I was working with correction, when Sid Ghost was working with me. I was translating it, and I was using the Vyakya, the Santhya, the Shtik of Pitaji. And I came across this line, Gurmukh Naam Dan Ishnan, and I couldn't understand how Ishnan was placed in the same, was given the same importance, if I may say so, as Naam and Dan. I had a cursory understanding of Naam and Dan, but no understanding of Ishnan. You know, I asked many people to explain to me why Ishnan is so important, and they couldn't explain, or maybe I was not ready to absorb. ये अपनी भी सोच होती है कि you're not ready. So how can the knowledge, or how can those insights come when ਜਦੋਂ ਬੰਦੇ ਦੀ ਤਿਆਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ? You know, maybe I was asking from a place of home, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ. I wasn't ready to receive it. And there at night, one night, can you imagine my condition, Professor Gurmukh Singh, when I am reading that Ishnan and I am ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਈਆਂ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਰੋ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਿ ਇੰਨੀ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਕਿ ਇਤਨੇ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਿੱਧੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਿਤਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹ ਮਿਹਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕੀ ਹੈਗਾ I don't know what that is. This is how I connect. This is how the author speaks to me. This is how he makes me go deeper and want to yearn to connect with Bani even more. It is like a nectar, like an Amrit Tara that is flowing through him to me. Tenu chaida hega na take. Look at this. This is how he unveils and opens things for me. For me, I don't know whether he does that for anybody else. I'm just sharing with you my journey. So let's enter the world of Dan through him. We all know what Dan is. It's giving. It's philanthropy. First form of Dan is the body, and he takes us through the same steps. Yes, we give food and medicine, and then sadhe vich thodi chetna bach jandi hai, and we said, chalo, we'll do something for the widows and the orphans and those in need. But do we know that sweet, kind words that are flowing from our mouth are Dan too? What if the world knew that Dan is actually what we speak, the kindness, our each word matters. The onus is on us. When I read that, I became even more careful with what I say. I was careful, but ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੋਚ ਹੈਗੀ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕੀ ਬੋਲ ਰਹੀ ਹਾਂ, every word counts, ਔਰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ. And it's not necessary that I have to criticize. If I can't speak sweetly and kindly and uplift someone, there is no point in speaking. Because a rasna, Pacha says, and Anansa Pacha says, "E Rasna, you are here to spread sweetness. What are you speaking?" And when I read this, it took me to Pacha. I said, this is what he's telling me. Be careful with what you say. Then there is Buddhi, intelligence, Dadan. This is a stage. Then we come to Mandadan. In your heart, within you, umang uthdi hai. There's a desire ki main hun kuch karan. I want to walk on the path of Dan. Ye andro upjda hai. You can do whatever you want outside, but jab tak wo andro khichni hundi na main karan, that excitement makes you walk the path of Dan. Then there is this intelligence, Buddhi Dadan, and this is where I want to take a little bit more time. This is a stage when you recognize, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਪਤਾ ਚੱਲ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ you are privileged, you are entitled, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਸੋਚ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, yes, ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਹ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। But here he cautions you ਕਿ don't let home enter, because it's very possible ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਦੇ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, there's a feeling of superiority, you become a little bit more egotistical, arrogant. And he says, no, if your ego enters, the buddhi, the buddhi which has done the ishnan, the first part, tells the mind, having given dan, don't get self-inflated, don't seek compensation. It is the buddhi, the intelligence, that guides the mind to serve selflessly. He builds on it step by step, telling you how to do this. Because what he says is when expectation is left behind, there is something that emerges. And it's remarkable what emerges. He says, Gurmat insight emerges. And what do Gurmukhs do with this insight? They share this insight, illuminating the world. With their buddhi, they enlighten others' intellect like a lit lamp lights other lamps. This is what he has done for me. With his buddhi, with his intelligence, he has lit my lamp. They share the method of attaining Nam, the knowledge and the love of Paramatma with the others in the world. Dan becomes part of their consciousness. Now, Dan of the mind and intellect is much higher than the Dan of the tongue and the body. And those who have reached the stage of Chit, the Dan, consciousness, una vich a bhavna jandi hai, Dan is not mine to give. They don't consider Dan as an obligation, nor do they keep an account of their deeds in their consciousness. ਉਹ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਕੀਤਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਕੀਤਾ, that goes away. It's past that. And the rare ones who get rejuvenated in their Atma know that nothing is theirs. Wealth, property, children, friends, these are not theirs. These relations are there because of the body and the senses. Their dan becomes spontaneous. It flows from sahaj. It becomes part of their nature, just like a rose. O gulab da full is emitting its fragrance. And it's giving it to all, regardless kaun aa raha hai to kaun ja raha hai. Because that's the nature of the gulab. That becomes the nature of the one who has attained the Atma stage, Atma Dan stage. So taking is the nature of Maya, and giving is the nature of Paramatma. So when this giving nature awakens in whoever, they know that they have been rejuvenated. And those who have not bathed, who have not taken a bath in this Ishnan, are forever the takers. They do not know how to give. Their giving is a transaction because they're expecting something in return. They're expecting a plaque. They're expecting recognition. They're expecting something for their giving. Or daan nahi hega, or transaction hegi hai. Now, some practice daan as a duty, some as a seva. Very few give without expectations. And those who give without expectations, and when for those people who daan is happening on their own, they are the ones are rare, and they are the ones who take the separated ones like me towards Nam. They have that capacity. They have that gift. Because onanu kuch nahi chahiye. They are not seeking bhava from me. They are just doing what they are doing. This for me is a roadmap. If anybody is looking for how to connect, or mail kis tarah hona hai, this has been laid out for them. So we come to the third principle, which is Nam. And Pitaji writes, Nam is the crown of Ishnan and Dan, and it aids both in reaching this destination. Now we all want Nam. We all want to experience Nam. I mean, the entire Sikh world, I think there are, I don't know how many videos out there about Nam. And many of us really struggle to understand what Nam is. I mean, you can go to, with great forgiveness, I say this, that I think there's every Baba in every village, there are probably 10 Babas dishing out Nam at the moment, that this is the mantra. This is not that. Pitaji explains it so beautifully. He says, Nam is a form of Paramatma, of the divine. As sunlight is the form of the sun, we cannot experience the sunlight. When we cannot touch the sun, but we can experience the sunlight. So when we have experienced the sunlight, we feel we have attained Nam. Right? That is what it is. And when we attain that Nam, it is as if we have attained the Nammi. The Nammi is the giver. That is why Gurmukhs, the Guru-oriented beings, yearn to attain Nam. So in Sikh thought, Paramatma, Creator, Ikyungar, whatever, however you label it, has no shape, form, or color. We cannot see Paramatma. So how can we love what we cannot see? Because we are very visual people. Because we can only love what we see, what we can touch. And here we cannot see, we cannot do that. So without love, how can we meet the Creator? Because everything what we have been told, ki pyar pehna chahiye. But how do you have this love? Isn't this our struggle? How do we love something we cannot see? I'm going to pause here. And I'm going to ask you a question that was asked of Rani Raj Kaur in the story. And please, this is before the stage of internet and telephones. So disregard that. The question I want to ask you, Jado tuada pyara, because in English, jo maza nahi aanda kadi kadi, you know, some language, English is a very cold language and Punjabi is so warm, but Sanu bada chaka haiga Punjabi bolan da, because I learned it in my late 40s. But bada pyar haiga is language. There is such a romance in this language. So jadoo thada pyara tode leaves from tode akkha de samne to chala janda hai, goes to another country. In what way do you remember your pyara? In what form? How would you remember that pyar? Take a moment to think about it. And this is Rani Raj Kaur's reply. Yaad. Unadi yaad kadi vi nahi bhulegi. It would be continuous and with every breath. I would never forget that remembrance, that yaad. And that yaad, when it becomes continuous, what Pitaji writes is Simran. That is why Simran is so important. कि ये सिमरन की है एक याद ही है कि वो प्यारे दी याद है कि how you do that Simran is a different matter. क्योंकि जब थोड़ा प्यारा है थोड़े अगे हैगा, your eyes don't want to leave the sight. But जब वो चले जाते हैं, then that yaad stays with you, and that yaad is that presence. Oh, yaad de piche, what did Soni and Mahibal, your lovers of Punjab, your 5 incredible lovers of Punjab, it was that yaad that kept them going. It was that yaad that made them do so much. And it is that yaad which they had with each other that Punjab celebrates them. They are the 5 lovers, the Heer Ranjha, Soni Mahibal, Laila Majnu. That was their yaad. The Creator, Pitaji has said, has graced us. Paramatma has graced us with this form of remembrance. Like the remembrance, by Gurdas writes, love like Heer and Ranjha have loved, like Soni Mahibal have loved. Love the Guru like that. Not for a minute did they forget that remembrance. That is what he is talking about here. If we keep that remembrance, ki Paramatma hai, is here, that yaad is there, I am that remembrance, when it becomes continuous, it is Simran, it is love. Now, if this form of love, if if I give you an example, it is if you're going out for a walk and ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਦਰਤ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ and everything is just blooming, everything is bah, this is amazing, this is you know, and I recall Asakibar this month, everything is moving in the direction, ਇਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਸਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦੀ ਮਸਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਭਗਤ ਹੀ can have these conversations with the creator, and Bhagats can only challenge the creator. Ki ek tusi ki kitta hai hun? This is like Pacha Guru Nanak Sahib speaks to his Paramatma in Babar Vani, right? ਉਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ ਪੱਕਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ between the lover and the beloved, the lover ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਹੌਸਲਾ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਿਆਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਪੁੱਛ ਸਕਦਾ, right? ਉਹ it is like in a soft way, it is a haq. ਉਹ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਦਾ ਹੱਕ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ, and ਉਹ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ the beloved answers, because ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਇਤਨਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਅਲੱਗ ਹੀ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ। But what happens if that love, ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਦਾ and love doesn't enter, ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰੋ? And the heart wavers. He also tells you what to do. He says naam japo, because we all know there is a name created, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ that speaks to you. It is not that ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਹੀ ਬੋਲੋ ਜਾਂ ਰਾਮ ਹੀ ਬੋਲੋ ਜਾਂ ਹਰੀ ਹੀ ਬੋਲੋ, whatever that you associate, that you feel, ਉਹ ਨਾਮ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਚਿੱਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਓ ਉਸਦਾ। Make your body, ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰੋ ਆਪਣੀ ਜ਼ਬਾਨ ਤੋਂ, recite that name. That name actually, when you recite it, it is your protection. Because ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਜਪਦੇ ਹੋ ਹੈ ਨਾ, less flows from your mouth. And ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਜਪਦੇ ਹੋ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ, it enters within you. ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਅੰਦਰ ਚਲਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ। And this, we think we are doing this, ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ. This is actually for your protection. ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸੰਭਾਲਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ. You do this, it centers you, it protects you from saying unkind things. It protects your mind from unkind thoughts. This is very powerful. I cannot even stress to you when this begins, when you start to adopt this as a practice, what all it does to you. I would say to you, practice it for 2 months, 2 weeks, a month, and see what the changes come in you. I cannot speak enough about this. It cushions you. The feeling it is कि तुसी संभाले हुए हो, that there is something that is holding you. And then the naam begins to reside. ਉਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ strong ho janda hai, becomes continuous, and it's happening on its own. It's called Manda Naam. And then that Manda Naam begins to reside within your body and your heart and mind. And Naam reaches the places where you will not even know that they are there within you. This is ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅੰਦਰ ਤੋਂ ਅੰਦਰ deep-seated nature ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ. It begins to reside there. And Pitaji writes, no one knows how it happens. But when that happens, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮਤ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ intellect gets cleansed. ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ shadows again, that darkness that is within you, that leaves you. And ਉਸਦਾ effect ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਕਨ your whole inner being, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਇੱਕ ਰੋਸ਼ਨੀ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ. And that roshni gets emitted. That's that jyot, right? Andro jado saaf banda ho janda hai, what will radiate? Oh, light radiates. And then when that happens, there is within you, there's an elevation. Tusi uppar ho jande ho. This is not a home. This is not arrogance. It is you feel yourself ki tusi halke ho gaye ho. I mean, I mean halke in the Punjabi sense ki oh bada halka banda hai guys, that means there's no substance in that person. I don't mean that halka. This halka is ki twanu jehdi oh cheeza tang kar rahiyan sigiyan, that were troubling you, that were causing you pain, they have gone. Because thoda man ucha ho gaya hai. And he calls the stage, the higher spiritual stage, he calls the stage unman, where you are actually free. Thoda and tusi sukh vich hego. Eh jehdi lafaz hai na, peace, shanti, this is not our word. Eh sada ka lafaz nahi hai. Sada lafaz hai sukh. Sukh dukh. Sukh is not peace. Sukh is comfort. Ki tusi comfortable hai ho. Tonu koi cheez tang nahi kar rahi. And that there is that tree within you, if you can imagine, that spreads and that light spreads. And tode chit vich, tode conscious vich, there's a presence ki oh hai, oh shakti hai, kuch hai. And that becomes your consciousness, and you live in that consciousness. Oh hega male. Jado, when your consciousness is in that, comes to that experience ki kuch hai, and I am in that, oh, that male has happened with the nammi. That is that union which we all seek. It's only through Simran that we can get this, that we have an inkling, not get this is the wrong word, that maybe we are graced with it. And as long as there is breath in the body, this connection doesn't go away. Like a branch is connected to a tree and is inseparable, so are we. But what he writes next just blew me away. And he says, when a gurmukh leaves the body, this male, this union does not end. It does not break. And this is the union where he says Rana Surat Singh was in. So when he left his body, he was in Sachkhand. And this is where the Rani wants to be in, Sachkhand with him. And they are telling her, Sachkhand is here. Live in that space, become this. Because when you are in that consciousness, you will connect with him. So what does Naam do? Naam cleans the mind, makes it crystal clear. It unites the mind, enabling for insights, these gurmat insights, to appear as it is a different stage. And Jado, when those insights appear, oh jehdi amrit tara hegi hai na, it flows within you. This amrit there's a sweetness. You experience it. It's on your tongue. And this protects you from everything. It actually protects you from saying anything negative. And the fourth thing is that connects you to the Nami. And isn't that the purpose of Naam, to connect you to the Nami? And when the Gurmukh attains Naam Danishnan, this realization happens that the self, the individual, recognizes that I, the self, I'm just an observer. That I am not separate from Paramatma. Oh, jehdi humme main disegi is no longer considered ego, because oh, the daan ho chuka hai, mera main to kuch hai nahi. My own self, what I am inside, oh, nirmal ho gaya hai, unblemished, it's clean, is now connected to Paramatma. This is the way, according to Bhai Vir Singh ji, Petaji, he has laid it out in Rana Surat Singh to become a Gurmukh. This has been my interaction so far with this poem. And as I continue to engage with it, because I am not done, I still am reading it. I know there are many things I have missed, and that is my shortcomings, not the author's. Oh, Sade vich hega ki I cannot absorb. His narratives, for me, are inspirational. His poetry, for me, makes me cry, because the way he yearns for that male, for that longing to experience Dasme Pacha, makes me want to do that. He makes Punjab, the land Punjab Kaur. He calls the land Punjab Kaur in one of his poems. Through Punjab Kaur, beinti kardi hai Pacha nu ki tusi jao nahi. When he's going, he's leaving. And she says, Mere puttar have deceived you. Bedawa unhone ditta. But forgive them. And he takes you on this journey. And then Dasme Pacha speaks through his pen. And he says, I came here for a purpose. You are blessed. The land is blessed. So long as your children are connected to Nam, they will flourish. This is what he does to me. He makes me want to feel. He brings history, feeling, longing, everything alive for me. Yes, he's gone for so many years, but has he? Not for me. Because the power of an author, or the power of anyone, how do they become immortal? Is when their words have a power to change people, to transform people, to take them to the next level. And where is he taking me? Not to him. He is taking me to Guru. There are many people who will take you to them. He's not doing that. He's taking you to the highest source. Connect there. Utho tonu sara kuch milega. This is the way. Go there. He is not saying I am the way, which is huge. I want to end with a couple of anecdotes. I met one woman and her name was Premanti. Premanti, because of the culture, you address people in that way. And she says, Beta, tenu kis tarah bakshish hoyi hai unna de. Tu te jammi pali bahar hegi hai. Tu sikhi na jodi nahi hoi segi. I am the most unlikely candidate in the entire world, honestly. I said, Pata nahi Aunty ji, in my 30s, I heard about him through Bhai Vir Singh. In my 40s, I said, I want to read him. The English translations left me cold. And I said, how can the man Bhai Vir Singh talk so much about him? And how can there was such a disconnect? I learned Gurmukhi from a Kedda, sitting in my home in Connecticut without any Sikh around me, anyone who knew Punjabi. This is before the age of internet. I learned Gurmukhi. And the first book that I picked up, do you know what it was? Guru Nanak Chamatkar, the most difficult book. I had pages and pages filled of legal pad. I had a dictionary on one side, a Kedda on one side, the book on one side, and my legal pad. And I would write every word and try to decipher for myself what was being said. I don't know how many years I spent with the book. And she said, Pitaji would say, when the Sangat from great distances would come to meet him, there's no need for people to come to meet me. They will meet me through my writings. And she said, Jo unhone kya se, oh, sach hai guy. You met him through his writings. I said, yes, I did. So the writings are powerful. May the university, the Punjabi University, take on the task of spreading his fragrance far and wide. After all, the university has a chair named after his name. And I want to deeply, deeply, deeply thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to share my love for Pitaji with all of you. It means a great deal to me. It is a very small debt that I can, if I can, sadi hastini hegi, repay Pitaji for what he is doing for me, and he's doing it continuously. So Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dharmjit,
Haji sir, I'm just trying to imbibe whatever has been said.
मैं कुछ गल कर लवां जे
Haji, please.
ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਸੱਚਮੁੱਚ ਹੀ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਵਿਸਮਾਦਿਕ ਅਨੁਭਵ ਸੀ। ਸੋ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ ਇਸ ਅਨੁਭਵ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਣ ਲਈ, ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਬੈਠੇ ਅਕੈਡੈਮਿਕ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਂਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਉਹ ਰਸਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਆਉਂਦਾ, ਇੱਕ ਵੱਖਰਾ ਰਸਤਾ, ਤੂੰ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਂਤ ਰੱਖ। ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ਾਂਤ ਰੱਖਣ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਫਲ ਵੀ ਰਿਹਾ, ਪਰ ਇੱਕ ਮੇਰੇ ਮਨ 'ਚ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸਵਾਲ, ਮੈਂ ਦੋ ਨੇ ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਹੀ ਪੁੱਛ ਲੈਣਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਫਿਰ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਮਹਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੋਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੋਲਣਾ। ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਕਿ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਬਾਰੇ, ਨਾਮ ਬਾਰੇ, ਹਨਾ, ਕੀ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਰਿਮੈਂਬਰੈਂਸ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ? ਕਿ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਦਾ, ਲਵ ਦਾ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, ਫਿਰ ਰਿਮੈਂਬਰੈਂਸ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਹੋਊਗੀ? ਜਾਂ ਰਿਮੈਂਬਰੈਂਸ ਹੀ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਨੂੰ ਜਨਮ ਦੇ ਦੂਗੀ? ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਨਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਹੈਗੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਨੈਕਟ, ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਵਿਦਆਊਟ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਰਿਮੈਂਬਰ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਯਾਦ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ? ਕੀ ਯਾਦ ਹੀ ਫਿਰ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਨੂੰ ਜਨਮ ਦੇ ਦੂਗੀ?
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ, ਪਿਤਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, and your heart wavers, he writes, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਫਿਰ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ? ਨਾਮ ਜਪੋ। ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ, that is because if you want it, ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਲ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ that there is something higher than yourself, ਇਹ ਉਹ realization ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ, ਕਿ there is a Shakti higher than myself and I want to connect with that. How do I connect with that? ਉਹ experience ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਹਾਲੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ, but I want it. There's a longing. So there's a path. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਾਮ ਜਪੋ। ਨਾਮ ਮਤਲਬ ਉਸ ਪਿਆਰੇ, ਉਸ entity ਦਾ, and that's why I said, he write, it doesn't matter what name, ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ, however you imagine this to be. For some it is nature, for some it is seva, ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈਗਾ, I'm connected to that larger force outside myself. But when I'm in nature and I'm looking at the Qudrat, that is what for me it is. That is your, and as that word becomes a part of your, under, it works separately. And that's why he writes this in a beautiful letter he writes to somebody. No, it's not, it's a talk he gives. It's a doctor from England who comes to him and tells Pitaji, he says, you know, I am so busy. I'm going from patient to patient. I have no time for Nam Japon, and neither do I have time for the experience part. I don't have the experience. I don't know what you're saying, exactly what you asked the question. And this is what Pitaji tells him. And he listens to him and he says, okay. And he says, but when you're driving from patient to patient, you're in your car. He said, yes. He said, what are you doing in the car? He said, I'm driving. He said, when you're driving, to see your naam low. He said, and he told him to do it for 2 months and see what the change is. And 2 months later, the man writes to Pitaji. And he said, there is a change. His sister had taken him to meet Pitaji because his sister was connected. And he says, Mera pra London to aaya hai. He's brilliant, but usnu sikhi de baare, pyar de baare, Paramatma da kuch nahi pata, tusi kuch do. This is what it is. So it is a feeling. So khich honi chahiye. Like I said before, khich to bigyan kuch nahi honda. Experience se bahut baad vich aanda hai. Some are blessed with the experience. I mean, if I share with you, Professor Gurmukh Singh, I mean, from a very young age, I would say probably in my teens, for me, it was, if this was just life, like eating, sleeping, and drinking, this was not a life I was ready to live. There had to be something more. And what was that more? Right now, this is a child of, if I look back, this is a child in her teens saying, dunya hai, because this holds nothing. It holds no fascination. So then that became my journey, that looking for something, ki hai, whether I can feel, connect. And I see, बड़े थावां फिरे हाँ, I struggled so hard, but matha ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਗਿਰਿਆ ਹੈ. ਮੱਥਾ ਗਿਰਨਾ is a very different thing. ਅਸੀਂ ਮੱਥਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਟੇਕਨੇ ਆ, ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੱਥਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਗਿਰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਕਿ ਇਸੇ ਥਾਂ ਗਿਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਸੇ ਥਾਂ that I have received ਗੁਰੂ ਕੋਲ, ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ, that is something. And then you have Bhai Vir Singh saying, okay, now this, explaining, without asking, without really, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਮੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਮੇਰੇ, you know, for me, when I'm looking at it. Because it's a download, I'm sitting in my home with his books and there's an interaction. And he's taking me on this journey and he's making me a bit closer to Pacha, to Ikankar, to Paramatma, to feel, because I want that. I want what he has. I want to feel what he is. I want to feel the way he writes about Dasme Pacha. I want to write like that. I want to feel like that first. I cannot write because I have to feel. O keri hegi hai jo o likhte hege that makes me cry, even today. My Punjabi, do you know how I feel so small? Ki meri language that I was gifted by my family, I don't have. And I'm struggling to learn Punjabi in a way that I can speak it and speak it with the sweetness, the way it is spoken in the land of Punjab. ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਦੇ ਹੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ language ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਦੇ ਹੋ, then you become connected to the land of Punjab. Then you become connected to the nature of Punjab. It's a different experience. And then you yearn, then you do anything and everything for your love. So thoda pyar ban gaya hai na.
Thank you. Hanji Dharanjit.
Hanji. Okay, I would now request Dr. Mohinder Singh ji to make his concluding remarks. Dr. Mohinder Singh ji. Sir, left corner te hoega ji niche.
Okay.
Done, sir.
Well, friends, believe me, for the first time after listening to Inni, I'm transformed to a different world. I listened to her earlier, but in Mata Sundari College, there was a phone, there's this disturbance. In our own conference, I could hardly listen to her. So thank you very much. For the first time, I was mentally and physically present in your talk. Let me, first of all, express my gratitude to Professor Arvind, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Gurmukh Singh, and Dr. Taranjit Singh for asking me to share some thoughts and giving this opportunity to me to listen with rapt attention to my sister, Inni. Thank you very much. As you know, this is 150th birth anniversary of this gifted poet. I want to transform you to a different world. And on a request, all of you responded. Inni traveled all the way to make her presentation. We're thankful to her and thankful to all of you. Now I'm glad through your center, you have become part of the celebration of 150 years. And a lot of friends responded to my request. They joined us. I do hope this will continue. And I need to thank Inni and your center again, because this, to my mind, is an online talk. Am I right? With a lot of other friends who couldn't listen to you and others, they have joined. And you know, the two people, Inni and Harvinder Singh, I call them our ambassadors in America. Harinder, I think I had a lot of debate how to start the international conference. Everyone says no, just 3 minutes. I said no, we will not decide. Audience will decide. If audience gets bored, I'll put it off, isn't it? And all listen to rapt attention, including Justice Kaur, who inaugurated the conference. He was taking notes. So that is the success. And I'm glad Inni is translating Bhai Vir Singh selected writings, and this labor of love continues non-stop. Thank you. Now you have listened to Inni, and she's spoken at length about Rana Surat Singh and how Bhai Vir Singh resolved Raj Kaur's heartache through her spiritual journey. And as Guru Singh described earlier, and as Inni described, this was not the heartache of Raj Kaur, this is heartache of whole Punjab after the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh and after a young prince being taken to England and converted to Christianity. Now, what impact this Rana Surat Singh had on audience, I like to share one small instance. Way back in December 1995, when we were celebrating Bhai Vir Singh's birthday, we arranged a play based on Rana Surat Singh. And the role of Rani Raj Kaur was being played by Madanwala Sindhu. And believe me, after the play was over, all of us, they were in tears. That is the impact that this Bhai Vir Singh's work had on all of us. Now, we all know Bhai Vir Singh started his career as a novelist with Sundari, which has gone into more than 50 editions. But I see it, how does he write? Like Sir Walter Scott, who became famous for his vivid novels, he came to be described as Sundari Karta, author of Sundari. This conveys two things to me. One is he wants to live in anonymity. Second is, maybe this is my reading of him, the Sundari is so famous, that's enough. Who is Bhai Vir Singh? Sundari Karta, one who wrote Sundari, which is still relevant. But I have a little bit different opinion. Now, everyone evolves. To my mind, Bhai Vir Singh also evolved. Sundari Karta is creating boundaries, creating, consolidating Sikh identity because that was needed the most. Because when you are demoralized, when your Raj is gone, when they are converting to Christianity, when there are all efforts to eliminate your culture, then that was needed. But then a stage comes, he writes poetry. Poetry, as you know, has no religion. It creates no boundaries. All enjoy, whether they are Sikh or non-Sikh, so that boundary of identity disappears when he writes his poetry. And finally, in his last work, Mere Saiye Jio, he is at the height of spirituality, a work for which he was given the Sahitya Akademi Award, first such award given to a writer in Punjabi language. I have a feeling, after collapse of Marxism, with the emergence of one model, that is the capitalist model, people are really confused. They got everything, and my own daughter, oh no, Papa, we got this new car. Then what? Are you really happy? This is a difficult question. They don't answer. You got a new sort of big house, but are you really at peace? I doubt whether we are really at peace. So we need somewhere some spirituality which comes from Bhai Vir Singh's writings. I'm a student of history. We're again on the crossroad today. I mean, all our institutions are being destroyed. Same challenges that we had when Bhai Vir Singh was writing are back in Punjab. We don't have a man like Bhai Vir Singh, but we do have his writings, and I'm sure his writings can take us out of this difficult situation. And I do hope that the Punjabi University will continue its association with us so that we can spread the common message. Punjabi University was established in 1962 with main object of promoting Punjabi language, literature and culture. And Bhai Vir Singh is the right person. We have established a chair, but we have to ensure that chair does play the role assigned to this chair. And with these words, I'd like to thank you again thank the Vice Chancellor, thank Professor Gurmukh Singh, and thank our friend Taramjeet for coordinating this event. And I do hope our dialogue would continue. Thank you very much. Have a safe trip.
Thank you, sir. So now I will propose the vote of thanks. So I'll start with Inni Kaur-ji. I thank Inni Kaur-ji for sparing her time to be with us and for sharing her engrossing journey across and through the ocean of consciousness, across and through the fires of yearning, and across and into the deep core of her own being. And all of this in the company of and through the writings of the great writer and scholar Bhai Vir Singh ji. And while I was listening to your talk, I was reminded of what the great Viennese philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein once said, that whereof one cannot speak, thereof one should be silent. And I would have preferred to be silent, but I was given this responsibility, so that's why. And now I thank Dr. Mahinder Singh ji for his insightful remarks also, and for sparing time to be with us. I thank Professor Arvind, Vice Chancellor, Punjabi University, who has always been a great support. And now finally, I would like to thank Professor Gurmukh, Director, Centre for Diaspora Studies, who has always been an inspiration and who always pushes me to do better. So thanks everyone to be with us, and I hope this journey will continue. Thank you.
Thank you, friends.